In this Blender tutorial for beginners, I will show you how I made a rotating logo reveal in Blender 2.91. The first thing I did was create the three parts of the logo. I import the Blender logo using File, Import, Images as Planes. Now, if you don't see the Images as Planes option, you may need to activate it under your preferences. I choose the material preview for the shading so I can see the image, and I rotate the image around the z-axis -90 degrees so it's facing forward. I start by adding a circle to make the center part of the logo, and I rotate the circle around the x-axis 90 degrees and scale it and move it to the correct size and area of the logo. I tab into edit mode and add a face using the F key. Tab back into object mode, and using Ctrl A, I apply the location, rotation, and scale. I duplicate the circle and move and scale it to the correct size and location for the outer part of the logo. I tab into edit mode and inset the outer circle until it reaches the white center circle of the logo. I then delete the center face. I tab into object mode, and using Ctrl A, I apply the location, rotation, and scale. I add a plane and rotate it around the x-axis 90 degrees. I then scale and rotate the plane so it will match one of the extrusions on the circle. I select the outer circle and the plane and tab into edit mode. Then using vertex select, I shape the plane into the proper outline for the logo. I then duplicate and rotate the first shape and place the duplicate on the next extrusion. Then using vertex select, I shape the plane into the proper outline for the logo. I repeat this process for the last extrusion. Back in object mode, I combine all three parts of the logo with Ctrl J. I then add a subdivision surface modifier with a level of 2. I also open the Object Data Properties tab, and under the Normals section, I check Auto Smooth. I tab back into Edit mode, and I add loop cuts to the extrusion to make them a little bit more square looking on the edges. I add a solidify modifier and change the thickness to 0.04 and move the solidify modifier above the subdivision modifier. I tab back into object mode, right click and choose Shade Smooth, and then I hide the logo image. Under the shading workspace, I add a new material and name it Metal. I change the metallic to 0.8 and the roughness to 0.2. And I changed the base color to an orange. I use the hex code CA7B16. Under the world setting, I add an environment texture node and open up an HDRI. I connect the color output of the environment texture to the color input of the background node. The link to the HDRI I use is in the description. I change the strength to 1.5, and under the shading options, I choose my Studio Light HDRI. Now model the second part of the logo, the circle. Add a circle and rotate it around the x-axis 90 degrees. Tab in edit mode and add a face with the F key. I then inset the face to give it a little bit of thickness and delete the center face. I tab back into object mode and apply the rotation. I copy the modifiers from the logo onto the circle. I select the circle and shift select the logo. Using Ctrl L, I open the links menu and choose modifiers, and then choose materials. I then right click on the circle and choose Shade Smooth. I select the logo, and under the object menu, I set the origin to the 3D cursor. I select the circle, and under the object menu, I set the origin to the 3D cursor. I then move the logo along the x-axis to better center it within the circle. I'll now set up the camera and background under the animation workspace. I select the camera and clear the camera's rotation using Alt-G and the rotation using Alt-R. Then I rotate the camera around the x-axis 90 degrees, and I move it along the y-axis by -7. Under the render properties, I check transparent under the film section. This means that the HDRI will still affect the objects, but it won't be seen. I open the background image for the animation using File, Import, Images as Planes. I chose a picture of Amsterdam since this is where the Blender Foundation is located. The link is in the description. Then I scale the image to fit the camera view and move it behind the logo and the circle. I then go into rendered view. Now it's time to work on the animation. I change the end frame to 90 and I add a Bezier circle. This will be the path that the logo will follow. Tab into edit mode, and in the overlays dropdown, I check normals so I can see which direction the circle is flowing. Then I move the circle to the front of the logo. And I delete the left half of the circle and rotate the remaining half around the x-axis, negative 180 degrees. This means that the flow of the circle is now heading in the right direction. I select the path, and using the V key, I change the handle type to vector. I rotate the path around the z-axis negative 45 degrees and align it to the center of the logo. I then change the handle type back to automatic using the V key. In object mode, I select the logo, and under the Constraints tab, I add a follow path constraint. I choose the path for the target. I now choose the path and make any necessary adjustments so the logo is mostly off screen and close to the camera. I select the logo and I change the forward axis to negative Y and check fixed position. This means that at an offset of 0, this is the beginning of the animation, and an offset of 1 is the end of the animation. On frame 1, I hover over the offset, and with the I key, I add a keyframe. On frame 72, I change the offset to 1, hover over the offset, and with the I key, add a keyframe. I select the circle, and on frame 80, I add a keyframe for location, rotation, and scale using the I key. On frame 1, I move the circle along the y-axis so it cannot be seen by the camera, and insert a keyframe for location, rotation, and scale. On frame 40, I rotate the circle around the z-axis 180 degrees and insert a keyframe for location, rotation, and scale. I can now render the animation. Under the output properties, I choose where I want to save the animation. I choose FFmpeg for the file format, and for encoding, I choose MPEG-4. I delete the logo image I brought in earlier and save my project. Under the Render drop-down menu, I choose Render Animation. If you found this useful, please subscribe and turn on notifications. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.